Chapter 3 Iron Treasure Chest. Move backwards onto the floating island. There are burrowing rodents here. They are very powerful. Move the floating island to the left. This is a normal floating island where you can find some basic supplies. Move to the right onto the floating island. It's rich in resources here. You can find useful items, and there's also a treasure chest waiting to be opened. Move upwards onto the floating island. There are many strange birds here. They are very aggressive. Move the floating island downwards. You will return to your original position, where there is nothing. Zhou Tu looked at the information he had received, lost in thought. Moving the floating island downwards will return it to its previous position, meaning you only have 5 chances to make this choice. If he detects that there are dangerous floating islands on all 4 sides, he can retreat to his original position. However, if we retreat, it will consume too much energy, which is not worthwhile at all. This information indicates that all 3 floating islands contain monsters. If you're lucky, you'll be safe and sound, but if you're unlucky, encountering these floating islands with monsters will be extremely dangerous. It seems that in addition to building islands, we also need to make weapons to arm ourselves, or arm our own floating islands. If we encounter danger, staying on the island and not going up is also a way. Zhou Tu pondered to himself. Without hesitation, he stepped onto the moving floating island on the right. This island is larger than the floating island I saw last time, and there are also some more houses. Zhou Tu headed straight for the heart of the island. A rusty treasure chest is inside a house in the center of the island. It is an iron treasure chest. Zhou Tu put the treasure chest directly into his spatial backpack. Open it again when you get back to your island. The important task now is to plunder the island for supplies. After collecting the treasure chests, Zhou Tu didn't miss a single spot in the room. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained iron nails plus 18. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained +1 tape. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained nylon rope +1. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained silicone doll +1. Looking at the pretty little girl in front of him, Zhou Tu was a little confused. What was this? He casually put it into his backpack. Even if you don't use it yourself, it's easy to trade it if you put it on the trade list. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained 1 tissue. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained 10 small breads. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained 400 milliliters mineral water +16. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained lighter +1. Island owner's heart reminder. Obtained +1 Zhonghua cigarette. Looking at the contents of his backpack, Zhou Tu felt a sense of satisfaction. It is indeed a wealthy island. The supplies were plentiful, and most importantly, we found the basic necessities for survival. Food, clothes, a lighter, and a pack of cigarettes. It's a bit of a shame, though, that he doesn't smoke much. He searched every house on the island, and his 20-slot backpack was completely full. He had to take out small items like cigarettes and lighters and put them in his pocket, as these items couldn't be stacked in his backpack and would take up space. I glanced around the house. Zhou Tu felt that the doors and windows of the house were not bad. Island owner's heart reminder. Gain +1 wood. Island owner's heart reminder. Gain +1 glass. ... Excellent, not bad at all. As expected of the wealthy island mentioned in the prompt, the resources here are several times more than the previous island. I should be able to build my house now. He explored the floating island thoroughly, inside and out, and spent some of the remaining time digging in the rocky areas. ... Island owner's heart reminder. Gained +20 stone and +20 soil. Looking at the 20 units of stone in his backpack, Zhou Tu wiped away the sweat that had been dripping down his face. Collecting stone was no easy task. More than 20 pieces of stone material are considered 1 unit of stone at the heart of the island. It takes 100 shovelfuls of soil to make up 1 unit of soil. Living on a floating island is incredibly difficult. With a sigh, I returned to my own floating island, and watched as the floating island opposite me disappeared from sight. This is what they call being lost. He then opened his backpack and tallied up the spoils he had gained from this exploration of the floating islands. 18 nails, 1 piece of tape, 1 piece of nylon rope, 1 silicone doll, 1 piece of tape, 1 tissue, 10 small bread rolls, 16 250 milliliter mineral water bottles, 1 lighter, 1 pack of Manhwa cigarettes, 41 pieces of wood, 5 pieces of glass, 20 pieces of stone, 20 pieces of soil, 1 iron treasure chest. He had explored both the previous and current islands, but unfortunately, the island lacked crystals like the island lord's heart, which dashed his hopes of finding the best island for each one. However, the materials obtained from the 2 explorations were enough to build the house based on the yellow blueprint. The materials needed to build a house are 40 wood, 20 nails, 15 stone, and 20 grass. Island owner's heart notification. The island owner has collected all the necessary yellow blueprint materials. You can use the blueprint to build a house. Do you wish to spend 2 energy slots to build the house and optimize it using the relevant materials? Build and optimize immediately. Zhou Tu did not hesitate and chose to build. The floating island, 10 meters in diameter, was completely empty and drifted in the sky, making him feel extremely unsafe. The disaster in this area is a wind disaster. If the floating island moves to another area, what to do when encountering cold regions? What to do when encountering a hot region? These are all potential threats, but the island lord's heart simply hasn't pointed them out. In this world, where survival is paramount, we must be prepared for unforeseen circumstances, learn from mistakes, and maintain a sense of crisis. Zhou Tu is now relaxed, but he feels increasingly uneasy, and his mind keeps wandering. Essentially, he suffers from a bit of paranoia. After he used 2 units of energy, a small house shape of 5 by 5 meters appeared inside the crystal, which served as the foundation for his floating island. You can choose the location to place your house on it. Once selected, it cannot be changed unless it is removed. The floating island was too small, leaving little room for choice. So Zhou Tu decided to place the house in the middle of the island. In an instant, the foundations of houses appeared in the middle of the floating island, and like 3D printing, the rooms quickly took shape, one floor after another. A small house with windows appeared on the floating island. Materials matching the room optimization criteria have been detected. Optimize, optimization. This optimization used 5 pieces of glass, 1 nylon rope, 1 silicone doll, 1 roll of tape, 1 pack of tissues. Damn, they even optimized my silicone doll into it. Zhou Tu's expression turned rather unpleasant when he saw some plastic material on the window. He had originally planned to make a trade, but unexpectedly, it all fell through. He opened the door and stepped into the wooden house. Looking at the small house, he felt a little safer. The small box that the system gave him was also placed inside the house. This small box also has some space, but like the backpack, it currently only has 20 slots. It's conceivable that as you collect more supplies in the future, you'll need to store them on the floating island. Looking at the empty little house, Zhou Tu sighed. No wonder the Island Lord's heart is a building section. You can think of the Island Lord's heart as a base vehicle. With blueprints, energy, and materials, you can use energy to build, which saves a lot of effort. Once he relaxed, Zhou Tu immediately felt thirsty and hungry. He was a little tired after working at high intensity for more than 2 hours. All the supplies were moved to the hut, and the remaining supplies were inventoried. 10 nails, 1 piece of tape, 10 small loaves of bread, 16 250 milliliter bottles of mineral water, 1 lighter, 1 pack of Manhwa cigarettes, 29 pieces of wood, 20 pieces of soil, 1 iron treasure chest. At this rate of labor, the food I consume will only last 1 day. Zhou Tu ate 5 small bread rolls and a bottle of water before he felt a little better. Looking at the remaining food, Zhou Tu frowned. We don't have enough to eat and drink. We still need to explore the floating islands. But let's open the iron treasure chest first. He rubbed his hands together, silently prayed that he was incredibly lucky, and opened the iron treasure chest.